one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
This story comes to us from the Los Angeles Times, and it's concerning the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Trevor Kirk was convicted in February 2025 of using excessive force after he was recorded throwing a woman to the ground in 2023. Kirk has appealed the guilty verdict, and his supporters have sought President Trump's intervention in this case. They're always like, "Help me, Trump, pardon me." Kirk lost the certification required to serve as a state peace officer, but was still employed by the Sheriff's Department until last month. A Los Angeles County deputy who was convicted of excessive force continued to collect a paycheck for months, even though he was barred from carrying a badge in California. That was according to Sheriff's Department officials and county records. A federal jury convicted Trevor Kirk in February of 2025 of a felony after he was recorded throwing a woman face first onto the ground outside a supermarket in Lancaster. Kirk, who was 33, was sentenced to 4 months in prison and had his state certification as a law enforcement officer revoked by the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training, or POST, in effect banning him from working as a police officer in the state. He's also a felon, can't carry a gun. But Kirk remained employed with the Sheriff's Department for months afterward, collecting benefits and a 6-figure salary. After he was relieved of duty in 2023, Kirk was off the streets and had no other duties assigned in the department, a department spokesperson said. Now, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission is tasking the Sheriff's Department to draft a policy to determine how to handle the firing of deputies who have been decertified and can no longer serve as peace officers in California. What about felons that can't carry guns? Kirk's attorney, Tom Yu, did not respond to requests for comment. Now, Kirk was relieved of duty in July of 2023. In a recording that surfaced weeks earlier, Kirk was seen responding to a report of a robbery and being approached by a woman outside a Winco food supermarket. The woman was recording deputies with her cell phone as they handcuffed a man matching the description of a suspect. Kirk then approached the woman, tried to grab her cell phone, and threw her to the ground, video showed. Kirk pinned her down with a knee to her back and used pepper spray twice to her face. She was just recording him. Kirk was charged by federal prosecutors with a felony, but offered a misdemeanor plea deal before the case went to trial. Kirk declined and was convicted by a jury in February 2025 of 1 felony count of deprivation of rights under color of law. After the election of President Trump, the new top federal prosecutor in Los Angeles, Bill Isaly, made the highly unusual and controversial decision to offer Kirk a post-conviction plea deal. U.S. District Judge Stephen V. Wilson rejected the move, writing that prosecutors presented no new evidence or circumstances to justify circumventing the jury's verdict. Kirk remained employed by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department a year after his conviction, while his attorneys appealed his case. According to a Sheriff's Department spokesperson, Kirk was relieved of duty July 10th of 23, but he continued to be employed and collect a salary. According to county data, Kirk received a total compensation of $201,062, including benefits and overtime. He took home an additional $170,000 in 2024. Salary data for Kirk last year was not immediately available from the county, but a Sheriff's Department spokesperson said Kirk remained with the agency until February of 2026. The spokesperson declined to say why Kirk left the department, citing peace officer personnel record confidentiality laws. State records indicate that Kirk remained employed with the Sheriff's Department 3 months after the California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training revoked his police certification, making him unable to work as a law enforcement officer in the state of California. Now, according to the state agency, Post, Kirk's certification was suspended October 9th of 2025 because of his trial. It was officially revoked on November 13th of last year due to his conviction. Under a state law enacted in 2021, all peace officers must be certified by Post. A spokesperson for the Sheriff's Department said individuals can work in support roles and other non-sworn capacities without certification. Nick Wilson, spokesperson for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Professional Association, an organization that provides deputies with legal representation, said post decertification does not automatically mean termination. Deputy Kirk maintained his employment status while those legal and administrative processes continued to unfold. That is not unusual in complex cases involving ongoing appeals, potential clemency review, and administrative proceedings. Wilson said his organization continues to support Kirk in his effort to appeal his conviction, raising money for him and writing a letter asking for Trump to intervene in the federal case. Deputy Kirk used a level of force that deputies across this country are trained and authorized, I'm going to get back to that, and authorized to use when taking a resistive suspect into custody. There was no allegation of deadly force and no allegation of malicious intent. Now, L.A. County employees are allowed to appeal disciplinary measures and decisions of being fired to the Civil Service Commission. Kirk's departure from the Sheriff's Department last month came as the Civilian Oversight Commission sought to create a policy to ensure termination of Sheriff's Department employees who have been decertified. The motion on the Commission's February 19th agenda, which passed unanimously, did not name Kirk's case, but it was on the minds of both supporters and critics of the now former deputy. Wilson spoke against the motion and called Kirk's conviction one of the biggest injustices against any member of the department. Said every deputy right now is watching whether leadership stands for fair procedure or proceeds with political theater. Hans Johnson, chair of the Civilian Oversight Commission, said he found it troubling that the department still needed to create a policy since state law has required peace officers to be certified since the law was enacted in 2021. Said it is concerning to us. There is still ongoing effort to challenge or second-guess clear state policy based on some understanding or misunderstanding of labor law. Kirk's attorneys are still seeking to overturn his conviction in federal court. And he was ordered to surrender August 28th of last year to begin his prison sentence. And now he's, of course, appealing it. But so many questions. I'm not even going to belabor this, but so many things going on. I said I was going to get back to something that he used. You know, they're trained to use this force. That doesn't mean they use it correctly. He was convicted by a jury. Well, he's appealing because it was, doesn't matter if he's appealing or whatever. I know innocent people get convicted, but this guy on video grabbed the woman who's just recording him, tried to grab her cell phone. You can't do that. You can't grab somebody's cell phone just because they're recording you. He didn't want her catching him doing whatever he was doing because he was probably effing up. He didn't want it on camera. I'm serious. If you want to record me at work, I'll be like, come on, record me talking to someone. Hey, how you doing, man? Record me talking to somebody that gets pissed off. We have clients that get upset with us and angry at work. I calm them down. In fact, sometimes people have told me, hey, can you go out and talk to this guy? Because they know I'll go out there and calm that person down. And on Google, for my work, Google has this thing. It's kind of like, is it Reddit? Not Reddit. the thing where you can go and make comments about businesses. Well, somebody commented about our office. And you know what they said? He said, go see Jimmy, this guy. Go see him because he'll help you and he gives you more information than anyone. That's what it said. I'm like, I jaw dropped. I sent it to my boss. I go, look at this. I ended up on Google. Yeah, on the Google ratings thing for businesses. And they said, go see him. He'll help you. My point is, if you're a cop that's doing right, you shouldn't worry about the cameras. You should be like, but these cops that want to grab these cell phones or push people back, it's because they're screwing up. They're screw-ups, and they don't want it on camera. They're commonly screwing up, and they just don't want you catching one of those. That's my opinion. I may not be right, but I want to hear what you got to say about it.